All right, folks, we live. We not doing no count in. You ain't. That's wasting time when you do a count in. You can't do no count in on the unpublic show. We got office hours today. So first and foremost, shout out to my man at Citizen Stewart for giving me the keys to the Corvette today. Right, I'm gonna try to do my best not to crash the Corvette because yeah, the Corvette is a very valuable vehicle. So we're gonna go in. All right. So today we're talking parent engagement with the woke aunties. Well, 2/3 of the woke aunties. Maybe we'll get the other 1/3 at some point. Maybe not. But we got enough with these two personalities right here that we could definitely carry you for an hour or two in terms of what we got to do. So, folks, real quick, we're going to talk about parent engagement. We're going to give you some ideas based off of parent toolkits. So the woke aunties are going to give you their variation of a parent toolkit so that you're prepared to go into schools and advocate for your babies, right? And so why parent engagement means a lot to me, right? So my dissertation upcoming, hopefully May, maybe June. I'm working hard, right? And so the title of my dissertation is Parent Engagement in Urban Schools Through the Lens of Black School Leaders, right? And so that is why parent engagement means so much to me, right? And so without further ado, we got the woke aunties super producer. If we could get the tripod. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So Auntie Toya, tell these folks who you are, what you do, the boards you on, how much you crochet with after school programs. Talk to them.
Hi, my name is Toya Algarin, and I'm a mother of 3 children and a grandmother of 6. And I'm in the parent engagement field because I have to be, because my children are growing and having children, and those children are growing, those children are in school, and I'm educating my children on how to raise their children now. So the other thing I do is I'm on the board at a charter school. Also, I crochet in schools with children, and I create safe spaces for them to be who they need to be. And that's about it.
That's what's up. Auntie Renee, tell these folks, because you're a mama too, and you're adjacent in a charter school. You work in a charter school, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm a mom of 5. They're not all younger, thank God. 25, 19, 18, 17, and 15. So college, my one daughter graduated. She's going to grad school right now. So education really never stops. So teaching them how to be great never really stops. Wanting them to be better never really stops. I do work at a charter school. I'm a dean there. I sit on the board of a charter school. It's Auntie Renee does it all. I speak to board meetings. I whatever you need me for, I'm here for you. Here to help out. Here to, start to make the community better than what it is right now. So I'm here for you, in whatever capacity you need.
That's what's up. So ladies, real quick, because they always label us. They try to say, oh, they anti-traditional public schools, they anti-private schools. So let's be clear. We're not anti any kind of school. We just want all schools to be good. Right?
Never been anti anything. In fact, my kids go to all different types of schools because you have to teach them on the level that they're on. So, I know we didn't even get to that part yet, but you gotta know who you are first. Know who your student is. You definitely have to know that. That's why they're in all type of schools. My daughter, she goes to ENS, which is a special admit school here in Philadelphia. I have a student at West Catholic, and I also have a cyber student right now. So I'm not anti anything. I just want quality choice education, and I don't think that's too much to ask for.
I agree. Mama Toya, what's going on with you? Your kids, have they gone to all types of schools, a variety of different schools?
It's so funny because I started my children out in a parochial school. So the oldest 2 went to the same school that I went to, which is the first mistake, because 30 years ago it was one kind of school, and 30 years later it's not the same school. But anyway, so they went to a Catholic high school as well. In 10th grade, I saw that that school wasn't working for my son. So I transferred him to two other schools before it was done. He was in a public school. And then my youngest went to a charter school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having that ability to select the school that's the best fit for your child, it seems like that's the best option and the best route. Will we agree on that? Okay, cool. So before, without further ado, let's do a round robin on our toolkit, right? So when we talk about toolkit, we're talking about what parents need in order to go into schools equipped so that they can be successful in terms of forming a relationship and holding accountable the people that are supposed to be educating their kids. So Mama Toya, we start with you first.
So the one thing that I think that we should do is develop a relationship with the teacher. So that would happen at the beginning of the year. I'm a relationship person. I need to see people. I need to talk to people. Unfortunately, because of COVID, that's not really happening. But you can also do the Zoom calls. But developing a relationship, I even got notes, right? How about that? Right? I'm gonna bring out my notes.
Yeah,
okay, I got my notes. But anyway, so actually, what that does, it builds self-esteem for the child too. You know, and there's studies out there that say a child is more likely to succeed when the parent is involved in their education, and that's building a relationship with their child. Also, often enough, and everybody's house is different, but often enough, life enters into the, stuff happens. I'm gonna say stuff happens. And when those things happens, it affects your child, and it could also affect your child in school. So for instance, when I was going through a divorce, my children were not happy, and it affected them, and it affected them in school. So the fact that I had a relationship with my children's teachers, it allowed them to see my child through a different lens. It allowed them to be more human to my child, or forgiving, and gave my child grace. So the other thing I think,
how we going to the other thing? Is that the first thing?
No, I mean, I'm giving you a list of why building relationships are important.
There it is. There it is. She came over here research ready.
I'm just saying it also allows you to have a better academic achievement for your child, right? And your child is more engaged in the classroom. Also, you got to think about it, because that's actually called advocating for your child as well as building these relationships. So when your child sees you do it, then they will do it too. So it sets a great example for your child how to advocate for themselves out in the world.
Yeah. Hey, that is amazing. Thank you for your research efforts. I appreciate you. I see that effort. Shout out woke auntie. All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna give you feedback on that particular strategy, right? Because we want to throw some loops in there as to what can occur when you're building relationships with teachers. So Auntie Renee, what are some things that you've seen in terms of like what kind of constrains that from happening, the relationship building piece?
Whew. That's a big one. Sometimes there are teachers, administrators, other staff members who are just not wanting to build a relationship with you because they just don't want to teach, for lack of a better word. They just want to go in there and get that paycheck. So they're like, yeah, I hear you. And I mean, it's happened to me. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, all right. Good. And you don't hear from no more. Like, I just had to fuss with one of my son's teachers because I'm confused at how, I think you said this right, how you go from a 90 to an 80 and get a phone call, or I don't get any type of inkling that this is going on. And even though I'm on power schools all day, your grades are not updated. Like, I just, so sometimes trying to build that relationship is a hard piece to get to.
Yeah. So one of the obstacles that I've seen in terms of building relationships with my kids' teachers, not necessarily my daughter, because she goes to my school and they understand. But my son's school is that you have low expectations. Like some teachers really have low expectations, and so don't take this the wrong way. This is not every teacher. I'm not talking about every teacher now, right? So don't their teacher bash. No, but there are some teachers that have low bars for black and brown kids, right? So like if you don't think that a kid can achieve, then that's on you. That's on the teacher. That's not on the parent, right? Because we send the best that we have to school, right? And so at the end of the day, if you don't think that our kids can be great, then maybe you shouldn't be around our kids. At the end of the day, I mean, like I don't know how else to say it. I don't know. I don't know how else to say that, right? So, but in terms of what you were saying, why I put my message out in terms of if the first 2 quarters you got a kid that has a 90, third quarter this kid has got a 60. It's 2 weeks away from the quarter being over, and you haven't heard from the teacher, right? And so some people will be like, "Oh, well, you're the parent. Why are you not logging into the grade portal?" I log into the grade portal every day. Every day I log into the grade portal. But this is a test. So I'm going to reach out to you 2 weeks before because I know in this next 2 weeks, my child got a whole lot of work that they got to do in order to catch up. But it shouldn't come to that point. You had progress reports. Why you don't send nothing home on progress report? If the kid is misbehaving in class, you send something home talking about the kid is misbehaving in class. Why we can't know about the grade? It seems like it's the ultimate setup for our kids. And I just don't know I don't know what to do. All right, before I get myself riled up, right? I don't want to not get the keys again. Auntie Renee, what's your first one?
My first one for the two is what I said previously. You have to know yourself. It has got to be said. Again, I'm not parent bashing. I'm not teacher bashing. I'm being real, uncut, raw, just raw, ready and willing to understand what's going on. You have to know yourself. You have to know you're good. You have to know you're bad, and you have to know you're in between, because you're not going to meet the same person every day at every time. So you have to know how to handle that situation without getting so, like they tell us, when our passion gets misconstrued for angriness a lot. I hear that tremendously a lot. Well, if you weren't so aggressive, I'm confused at why you're not aggressive enough.
First off, right? I think that's a misnomer, right? So thank you for mentioning that. Black women are not aggressive; they're assertive, right? And so if I'm coming to you to talk about my goddamn kid, then don't call me aggressive, right? You call me assertive because I'm coming to you and I'm concerned about my kid. Like, yo, listen, you got to understand, right? There's generations of folks that have been failed in these schools, right? So like, this is not just happening. It ain't just start happening with my child. Like his grandmother, her mother, like these are generational problems, right? And so folks, they tend to come in and they're like, oh well, schools just stuff. No, they didn't. Schools have been failing us for decades, right? But now we want to talk about it, right? We're concerned. Y'all done activated a level of concern in Black folks that we ain't gonna turn back now. We gonna talk about this, right? So, Mama Toya, what concerns do you have about being yourself?
I don't think they always want me to be myself when I'm really upset, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I can't be myself. You know what I mean? Like, so when Renee says know yourself, that means when you're really angry, step away. If you're anything like me, okay? I need to step back, focus, possibly call one of the aunties to say what would be a better way of me handling this than shooting from the heart and the hip. You understand what I'm saying? Especially in the classroom, because depending on if you trust your administration or if you don't, you feeling me? If you don't, it could be construed a different way and your butt could go to jail. You know what I mean? I mean, if you know what I'm saying? That's yeah. Yeah, I just think that you should, and as a leader and a leader in your home, you might want to set the tone for your child as well. You know, and often enough, my kids might say, "Mom, please, mom, don't go up there, mom," right? Or "Mom, just give it a minute." My kids know me. You know what I'm saying? And like Elaine, I don't know. We were on the show. Elaine said it's easier to catch bees with honey than vinegar, right? So it's the way you approach it, and that's about skills, having people skills for me. You know, so know yourself and build on your people skills.
Right. So a lot of folks don't talk about this. This is kind of like the elephant in the room, right? But with most schools, do you guys feel like it's a us versus them kind of thing? Like it's the schools versus the parents, as opposed to it's the schools trying to collaborate with the parents? What's y'all's thoughts on that before we get into the second entry in the toolbox? Auntie Renee, we'll start with you.
That's a definite. That's 99.9% of the time, because you don't make it comfortable for parents who are not educational savages like myself to be able to understand or even feel like they have a place there. So they always feel like it's us versus them. It's oh, the school doing this. It's never what can we do to bring together. People talk about it, but they're not really about it. So that's 99.9% of the time.
Auntie Toya, what's your take on the us versus them narrative?
I think that to be very honest with you, right? So it depends on the school. It depends on the administrator. Yep. And it depends on the parent. And it takes the parent to set the tone. Okay? The parent needs to set the tone. But to be honest with you, right, if you're dealing with like pre-K to like 5th and then middle school and then high school, it's going to change. Because when you're in the lower grades, parents have to be there. They have to be in the school because the child relies highly on them. And then in middle school, parents tend to, they'll take their child to school, but they might step back a little bit. And in high school, when you're dealing with high school parents, those are the parents that are there because the child is in band, or the child is in a sport, or the child is in a club. So basically for me, and I believe, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say it again, and I say it every podcast, I've done it really good and I've done it really bad, and the best way was to be involved and set the tone and help set the tone, because it's always, and in the back of your mind, right, you have to always think that it's a partnership. It's not me against them. You just can't do it because you can't. It's just a better outcome when you set that partnership.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And I agree. I think that it's it's definitely a better outcome when it's a us thing and not a we versus them. All right. So, but a question pops up to my head prior to, because, we got some time and y'all the aunties and we're going to kick. So how do you say, so for a parent that's looking at this right now, right? And they're like, well, dad, they just said something really important. Like, how do you set the tone in terms of building a relationship with the schools, right? Auntie Toya, we'll start with you. Like, how do you set that tone? How do you build that initial relationship with the school?
For me, building that relationship, you know what? There's another thing I say every time I get on here. Go to the store, buy some apples, and go ahead into the school. You have to go in there as a co-conspirator, as an ally. You know what I mean? If you're there, and I mean, if and when you can be there, be there. All right, be there for the back to school night, right? Be there for the opening bell. Stand around in the yard. Meet other parents. Okay. Know the children, right? Get to know the babies running around, because often enough, and it takes a village, right? And I'm going to continue to say that it takes a village. So if you see another child, right, acting out, and see, not everybody's comfortable with doing that. But if you get to know these children and where they're coming from, that's how you build a partnership. And often enough, if you're out there helping the teachers, the principal, if we have a good principal, right, a woke principal. You know what I mean? If the principal sees it and lead teachers see it, come on, y'all. Don't bash me. I'm like a kumbaya, like build relationships. And I'm saying if they see it, they'll use you as an ally. They'll use you as a mouth when you have a parent that comes in like just totally mad at the system, where they'll use you so that you can help that parent out and see. That's what I think, Ray. I'm standing by what I'm saying.
Hey, don't let them use you, all right?
They ain't using. You know what? You know, don't be creating no sound bites talking about the schools are using you. You know, don't create them sound bites because but wait, the other, and it goes to the flip side too, though.
Yeah.
So if a parent has a legitimate concern, right, and you're there as the ally, help the parent.
Yeah. No, definitely.
If the administration is wrong, the administration is wrong.
Yeah, but I see. Yeah, I think of a reflective school administration. They're able to say, you know, I'm wrong. Like I handled this wrongly, right? I did this badly, right? Like for me, anytime I make a mistake, I'll be the first person to be like, yeah, I messed that up.
You know, I've managed so many people, and I've been in so many management classes, and I've been a leader. And the best way is to say, now, how would you have handled that differently? Yeah. What could you have said to like have the parent on your side or have the administration on your side? You know, you often enough have to like set yourself outside of the box and think about alternate ways instead of always anger to get your way done, get what you want.
Life is too short to be angry, man. We suffer from hypertension and like all kind of other things and whatnot. I'm not trying to be pissed off with these people no more. I'm trying to live my life, but hold people accountable as I'm living my life. So, Auntie Renee, talk to us. How you set the tone with these, and be as assertive as you need to be.
Like Toya said, I've learned. I've done it very wrong, and I've done it very, very well. I used to be the president, well, I still am, but the president of a homeschool association. And at one point in time, the school district was like, we have more parents coming than you have. And I'm like, how is this? Like, I've been on that side also, like, you know, what is going on? So I had to look at myself and reflect. So I went home and thought about what happened that whole day and how I said things and what was said and how it could be misconstrued. So that's like a practice I do now. Before I make sure that I can assert myself, I go over my day and go back, like you were saying, and apologize where I need to apologize at, or say maybe I need to have a different, you know, I want you to, my words, these are what my words I'm supposed to mean. But at one point in time, I just said, you know what? Maybe we need to feed these people. Maybe our parents, you know, we're asking parents to come to this meeting at 6:00. Are they really, what are you doing? What do you want to be doing at 6:00? I want to be feeding my family, doing homework, and getting them ready for bed, because that's wind down time. I'm asking you to come to a meeting away from your home. You have a family. You know what? We need to start feeding these people. So we started to feed our families. And I'm not saying that they were, you know, homeless or anything like that, but you had a good, healthy meal, and your kids had a good, healthy meal. And so we at the home school was like, you know what? We can't just say, you know, for the parent to come and get a meal. Bring the whole family. We got homework help in this room. We got games in this room. We got, if you don't understand that, in this room. And we made it so much of a community effort that we were having 60 to 70 parents at a home and school meeting every month. And that was just like, what?
That's how you build a parent body right there. So folks, if you're listening, Auntie Renee just gave y'all free PD, right? So, you know, so basically, you know, if you want to get parents out by feeding them, you're not doing charity for them, but you're allowing them to free time up in their space in their day to where they don't have to cook. And so now the time that they were allocating to prep food, cook food, is now time that they could give to the school, right? So you're adding a replacement in their schedule, so therefore they can come out. Also, one of the things that I've known from like this whole COVID-19 blow up of the system is that you don't have to be in the school to participate in the school, right? So the same way that you can have Zoom classrooms is the same way that you can have Zoom teacher meetings, the same way that you can have Zoom curriculum nights, and the same, those are all things that used to be unconventional and you had to be in the school, but now you no longer have to be in the school. A parent can just whip out their phone, right, and be actively engaged in a meeting that used to be, you having to do it in person, right? And so, we've opened up all kinds of avenues in order for parents to be engaged. Hopefully, schools take advantage of these opportunities to engage parents. So, toolkit tool number 2, Auntie Toya.
So the other one that I have is listen to your child. Okay.
So explain that. What does that mean?
I'm going back to my trusty notes.
There it is.
So basically, when you listen to your child, again, it builds self-esteem in your child. It builds like, it allows your child to tell you anything, especially things that might be happening in the school, because your child can tell you exactly the heartbeat in the school and what's happening within the school. And oftentimes your child is right about what they're saying, so they got into a fight, right? And you know what, Miss Virginia, the movie, you could even watch that in the movie, Miss Virginia, right? Her son had gotten into a fight and he was forced to beat up someone. And his mom was totally upset that he got into this fight. But when he was like, "Mom, you're not listening," they would come after me if I didn't do what they told me to do. So, and then he also talked to his mom about the way he was being taught in a poor quality school. And his mom was like sitting back like, wow, if I had been listening to you a lot earlier, we probably could have, changed this situation. The other thing is, it allows you to create a safe space with your child. Because often enough, kids will have problems growing up, right? And if they can't come to you and talk to you, I remember my daughter, man, and she got into some predicaments. And at first, she didn't want to tell me, and I had a principal tell me, and I'm like, you know what? I need to set a relationship with my daughter where she's not afraid to come with me for anything, because you know what? I don't want like Jackie and Joseph, who is like 12 years, like 20 years old, giving her the advice that I would give her, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important and key to listen to your child, and like Auntie Renee said earlier, is to know yourself while you're listening to your child. So
yeah. So Auntie Renee, with your 5, talk to us about the toolkit number 2 for from Auntie Toya, and like, how do you fill that void for your kids?
This is where I really got it wrong at. So I learned from getting it wrong. I did not saying I didn't believe them, but I didn't believe what they were coming home and telling me, I would ask them what's going on in this one class. And they said, the teacher likes Jamaican food. The teacher likes pizza. The teacher likes this. I'm like, cut it out. Y'all just playing around. He's really teaching in there. And come to find out, because all my kids went to the same, school, come to find out, he really wasn't teaching anything in that classroom. And I'm just like, wow, if I would have paid attention to what you were saying 8-9 years ago when my oldest was telling me, then we wouldn't be in this predicament today. not learning a specific set of skills and things that you need to learn. So that's where I really got it wrong at. So I decided to change that after that, and everything that they say within reason, I'm right there.
That's important, but that's important though. That within reason piece, right? Because I think one of the ways that we go wrong as parents, right? And this ain't everybody. If the shoe fits, tie it up. What happens is we'll listen to our kids and we'll think back to the experiences that we had in school, right? And then it'll immediately make us angry, right? Because I know growing up for us, like, when a teacher called home and they said something, it was 100% the facts, the truth, whatever, right? Regardless if it was a damn lie or not.
Right.
When your parents got that call, it was like, well, you did this, the teacher said, the teacher said, right? And so one of the ways that we've broken like this generational narrative that the teacher is always right is that now we are listening to our kids more, right? And another thing that has occurred that has allowed us to know that, these teachers are not perfect. This ain't teacher bashing. Again, if the shoe fits, tie it up. When you're hearing the tone of some of these teachers on these Zoom calls, man, listen, right? So I know I stick my head in my son's room and I'm like, said what?
Oh my God.
And I'm immediately like, well, that's not how I would have done it, right? And so, but it turns it into like a good conversation, in terms of like, all right, well, what can we do in order to make this a more well-rounded education for our kid, right? And then also, like, how can we open up those lines of communication for our kids so that they feel comfortable coming to us, to where they don't have to suppress those thoughts and suppress those feelings when their teachers make them feel uncomfortable. Because you got a lot of folks around here that are making kids feel uncomfortable, and those kids need to be able to share that and be able to decompress, especially during COVID, right? Especially during COVID. But I know there's been many of instances in which my child has come to me and like, yeah, this teacher doesn't teach at all, right? And so I'd be like, well, is it how you're learning? Is it how you're hearing them or whatever? And so, then when you start building relationships with other parents, you start building relationships with other kids, and then other kids may learn differently than your child, and they all have the same story in terms of like what's going on in the classroom, and nothing is occurring in the classroom, right? But so my question for you guys is, some of these folks, 3 years tenure, are immovable objects, right? And so how you start having those kind of conversations with folks that the first 3 years of if your kid had them the first 3 years, they were amazing, and then after that third year, after that tenure,
I say pay attention. You just gotta pay attention. You just took me back to Miss Green. One of my I was like, I remember Miss Green. I was like, oh Lord, she. And then by the time it got to Romeo, because my kids are like 8, 9 years older, and Romeo had Miss Green, I was like, oh Lord, that's when I knew it's time. It's time. It's time to change schools. And it was because when Romeo went to KIP, literally, right, he was in 6th grade on a 3rd grade reading level. Mm-hmm. And in just 1 year, he was back up to par. You know what I mean? In 1 year of instructional reading and literacy. Why are you looking at me like that? Did I say the wrong word? That's the other thing, parents.
Shout out, Kip.
Oh, okay. I was just about to say, that's the other parents. Get a dictionary and learn what the heck the teacher's talking about, because they use these words, right, that you don't understand. Like, your son needs blah, blah, blah. Like, those terms you teachers use. And I'm like, what does that mean? Break it down for me. As a parent, that's another thing. And I know it's not on the list. It just popped at the top of mind. But that's another thing.
That's a really good point, right? It's like these folks go off, they get this fancy education, right? And then they come back to the inner city where to the inner city schools where the majority of parents are Black and brown, and they may not be college educated, right? And so then they spew these words or whatever. Like, no, goddamn, meet me at my level. Talk to me how to where I can understand what's going on with my child, right? I don't care about your little fancy words, because at the end of the day, you can have as many fancy words as you want to have. If my kid is graduating in the 12th grade and they can't read, damn you and your fancy words.
Right. That's right. It's like break it down. And I'll be honest with you, often enough, I will tell a teacher to break it down for me. To definitely break it down for me. Let me know what you're talking about. How does I'm sorry, I see how my son learns, but how does my son learn in your classroom? Absolutely. And the reason why I know this, Ray, let me tell you, with the last one, and he has a traumatic brain injury. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, when we went to CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the biggest well-known hospital, he had the person who did his testing was this older lady, like Miss Green. That's how I'm gonna say it, like a Miss Green, right? And he wasn't engaged with her.
Miss Green.
I love Miss Green. I know. I like. But at the time,
not teaching. He taught nobody at 20 years. Shout out, Miss Green.
Anyway, my son wasn't engaged with the person that was doing his testing, and I saw that. And then she came and she told me the way he learns is the 4Q method. I'm like, okay, what's the 4Q method? And then I'm like, but that's the other thing was building a relationships with your school, because I had my school come in to CHOP when he was being released, and we all wrote his IEP together. You know what I mean? Everybody, the neurologist, the psychologist, the OT, the PT, the speech, me, and the special ed coordinator at the school, and a parent advocate for me. Because when you're sitting there and you're listening, right? When you're listening to all this stuff that's going on, you're not in the box with them. You're at the table, but you're thinking about all other things that you probably have to do. So you need somebody else, a parent advocate, to say, yes, this is the right way to do it, or no, I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
Listen, so think about it, right? Think about if you get engaged, if you're engaged with law enforcement, right? What do we teach our kids when they engage with law enforcement? They tell you, say you have the right to remain silent. Shut your ass up. You have a right to an attorney, right? Take your rights to your attorney, right? So in school it's no different. You have the right to remain silent. Okay, I'm gonna remain silent in this IEP meeting. You have a right to a parent. What did you just say? A parent advocate. A parent. I will exercise my right for my parent advocate, right? And that's the humble thing that good parenting.
You're muted, right?
If you're going into a situation and you don't know what's going on, you immediately ask for a parent advocate. I don't understand these fancy words that y'all are saying to me today. I would like a parent advocate. And then they got a full stop and get you a parent advocate, somebody that can break down this information to you piece by piece so that you can digest it and you can know what's in the best interest of your child. Because like I always say, parents are the experts of their child, right? And so what happens is when you become the non-expert is when you get in these meetings and these folks start floating these words around that you don't know what the words mean or whatever. But then when you go home and you research the word, you're like, oh, damn, I knew that. Or, well, why didn't they say this in a different way to where I could understand and I could do what I need to do for my kid? It's a system that's built by design to trap your kids. But correct. That's not a conspiracy theory.
You know what? Correct.
That's not a conspiracy theory either. I got research that supports it. But Auntie Renee, what's your
let me
yeah, we gotta break that down, right?
Toolkit.
No,
you want to respond to that?
I wanted to say before I even.
Are you muted?
Kind of go through my second. Am I muted? Can you hear me? No.
Something happened with the tech.
Can you hear me now?
Where's the super producer?
Oh, he said we can hear you.
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, that's why he responds.
Y'all can hear me?
I can hear you.
Thumbs up if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
I can't hear y'all.
Go ahead, Renee. Say what you want to say while he waits.
So I wanted to say that
you know, I just went to
a full screen and can't hear you. That don't make no sense.
I did.
Wait. All right. Let's see. How will we do this?
Right.
I guess you could go out.
Go ahead, Renee.
Oh, they want you to go out, Ray, and come back in because they can hear me. He still can't. So what I was going to say is I went to I had a progress report night at my child's school, and I really had to. They started throwing those big words at me. Well, I'm a person who can understand the big words, but this one teacher was like, "Miss Brown, you look confused. You look like you don't understand what I'm saying." I said, "Oh no, I can understand what you're saying, but it's just if you talk to all parents like this, and I know all parents are not educationally sound the way that I am. I'm wondering the mental health aspect that you have caused for them." And they just started looking at me like, "Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to me like that?" You know, so that was just my quick thing.
You know what
Toya was saying.
So when Ray said to that parents know their child, right? The one thing I want to express, and I often watch or listen to Doc Locks, right? And Doc Locks always says that parents know their child, but I didn't know how my child learned. You know, not after the car accident and he had a traumatic brain injury. You know, they had to tell me the best way for my child to take in information. And it's totally different than what it was before. I knew who my child was as far as his spirit and who he was as a child. But other than that, I had to count on the experts to tell me how my child learned. Right? Can we hear you now?
I have a daughter who's
I can't hear myself. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I'm confused. I can't hear nobody.
They put you in a drive seat and now you crashing and burning.
We
know what?
We
can go
hey, but I'm a good sport though. If y'all can hear me, it's all good. I can talk my junk. Again, shout out to Citizen for allowing us to have the keys to the Corvette.
It's my phone in the building now.
And now we got the third woke auntie.
Sorry, technical difficulty.
Yeah, no worries. So we can go right to you now, right? So Auntie Elaine, what is your first toolbox kit suggestion for parents?
I would say, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. I would say to establish your expectations for you and the teacher and your child early on, right? So make it known before school even starts if possible. A lot of teachers, a lot of schools send out letters introducing you to your child's homeroom teacher, to to whoever their teachers are going to be for the year. My key to that is reach right back out into those emails that they send you for teachers. Introduce yourself. Give all of your contact information. Like, I work, but I have my cell phone on all day, right? So if something goes down with my child, you have no excuse as to you couldn't contact me or you couldn't get in touch with me because I gave you my work number, my cell phone number, my email, personal and work. And the expectation is that you let me know immediately, if not sooner, when something is going on with my child, whether it be they're not turning in work, they're being disruptive in class, you have a concern about their well-being, whatever it may be. With the child, it is that I have reached out to your teacher, and your teacher has let me know what it is that they expect from you. So I'm relaying to you what is expected of you in the class so that we don't have any issues down the road with you didn't know or you didn't understand. Know that I am here to help you along in this issue, and your teacher is as well. And for me, myself, the expectation for me is to support my child, but also support the teacher when I see that it's needed. Not to be intrusive in the class or anything, but there have been times when I've been in a classroom or observed the classroom by mistake or intentionally, and kids are out of control. A lot of times the teachers are very young, like sometimes only a few years older than the students, and they need a hand. They need to see what Auntie's control is, as opposed to you coming fresh out of college into a classroom of kids that are a little younger than you, and you're not sure how or what that control is supposed to look like. So I mean, getting that expectation early on, letting the teacher know, I expect this. This is the expectation that I have of my child in your classroom. I expect that they excel at what they do. When they have trouble, I expect that they come to you for help, and if not you, they reach out to somebody else, a tutor, a counselor, or me. And when that is not happening, there needs to be some communication going on between you, I, and my child.
Okay, so you laid that out eloquently, right? And I appreciate the thought that went into that, right? We've already established that we're not going to teacher bash, but giving teachers feedback is also not bashing them. That is us. That is us establishing the fact that this is a working relationship in which we can give each other feedback in terms of how we need to show up for kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as I pushed them earlier, what happens when teachers have low expectations for kids? How do you navigate through your first two kids?
So when I recognize that somebody has a low expectation for my kid, my next action is to talk with the person in charge of that teacher. And if that doesn't bring any resolution, then my next move.
This is not us. No. This is StreamYard. I'm not gonna own this.
I didn't hear you, Ray. I'm sorry. My child was calling on that.
You went out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. You said you hold the teacher accountable.
Okay.
By going to the person that supervises the teacher.
Yes. And what did you say, Ray? Don't do that.
No. What? Hey, when you go into a store, listen. I look at schools like how I look at when I go into my favorite store. Right? When I go into my favorite store, I think about what brings me back to that store. It's usually good customer service, right? So if I get good customer service at Old Navy, or if I get good customer service at Gucci, I'm probably going to want to go to Gucci. Right. For whatever reason, that's probably a bad analogy, but good customer service is what keeps you coming back, right?
Right.
And so, based off of your interactions with teachers, if they're not giving you good customer service, then you're not going to want your child to be there.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, Auntie Renee, you're up. Toolkit.
I said my toolkit when you couldn't hear us. Number 2. You want me to do number 3 now?
No. I think everybody else can hear you. It's just me.
Yeah, no. I said I went.
You can hear you now.
You can't hear us again now.
You see what happens when you get so excited about taking over a show, and this is how God shows up, right? God's like, yo, you was too happy. You was too excited to take over Chris's show, and so I'm gonna let you not be able to hear the guest.
I want to say, read the handbook from my Auntie Elaine. She gave us that tidbit. Read the handbook inside and out, and understand it inside and out. You can't hear me neither, Elaine? I'm going to go out and come back in.
I don't know what's going on. Listen, y'all hold it down. I'm going to log out and log back in because I need to be great for these last 10 minutes. So I'm coming back.
Toya, can you
Y'all
hear
hold
me?
it down.
I
Two
can hear
producers
you.
in the background.
Okay. Elaine, you can hear me too?
I didn't hear.
Oh, well, let's go.
So give another one, Elaine. They heard from us.
All right. I think the other thing was I didn't even look at my list before I got on here. Oh, the other thing was one of the other things that I had was to make it your business, if at all possible, to make it to at least one public. To the best of my knowledge, most school board meetings are public. So make it intentionally. Make it your intention to make it to at least one school board meeting a semester, right? And if you can't, when you build allies, so one of my other ones was I didn't really have time, was to make allies or become an ally of other parents. So Toya, I heard you mention earlier about get to know other parents in the schoolyard when you drop your kid off in the morning. Back to school night is another good place to make friends, make connections, and just know that there are other parents that are going through some of the same issues that you are. They're noticing some of the same things that you notice that might not be up to par going on in the school. So when you make these connections, see what parent is going to be available to go to and sit through and ask questions at the next school board meeting. And they can bring your questions, like you all get together, either through email, telephone, however, get together a few questions for that parent to take to the school board meeting and bring answers back. That's a good way to know that's a good way to know what's going on with the school, what some plans are for the school, some upcoming things that are in the works for the school. And it's also a good time for parents to exert that that energy around them being key partners in their child's education. We don't get an awful lot of parents at the school board meetings, but it is something that I'm working to push toward, especially after this total COVID year. I'm looking to push for more parent involvement in the school board meetings for this upcoming school year.
Thank you, Elaine. Renee, you have something to say?
Yes, I wanted to say that is very, 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 okay, y'all get the point. Very great to do. We just have to get parents prepared for the board.
Always?
And I think that we have to prepare them, because some board meetings, they have to have, you have to be put onto the agenda, while some board meetings you have to be, you can talk where it's comments, concerns, public safety questions, so each board meeting has a different agenda. But a board meeting is a great way to understand what the school is spending money on, because they talk about that all the time. What is going on in the school climate, the teacher climate, the CEO climate. It is a very, very great way to understand what's really going on and how it's going on. Can you hear us now, Ray?
Hey, the Shea Butter Guide is back.
Yes. It's okay. The woke aunties took over for a little bit, brief moment, and we had your back. We got your back.
I appreciate y'all. I'm back now. God is good. Anyway, so we're coming up to our closing thoughts. Auntie Elaine, I don't want you to be able to what? It's time. I gotta go to work.
I got one more.
All right. Auntie Toya, go ahead.
The importance of knowing your child's test scores and the importance of knowing the school's test scores. I think that is major. For instance, my daughter called me the other day. My granddaughter is in first grade, and my daughter called me and said, "Mom, I just got like Zoe's, report card." And I'm like, "How's she doing?" She said, "She's doing all right." I'm like, "And what does that mean?" And she said, "She's reading like everybody else, like the same as everybody else. And what does that mean? How do we know that everybody else can read? How do we know where the school is? Have you checked the school's numbers? Do you know if this is a low tier teaching school, a middle tier school, or is it an outstanding school? So I encourage parents. There's reports out there that will tell you what your school's grades are.
And most of them in Philly is failing. I'm saving them some time. They have to go into
the crazy part about that, Ray, is they have a publication like Toya was talking about called GreatPhillySchools.com. And a lot of the schools in the inner city do not have great ratings.
Yeah, but listen, that's not just reclusive to Philadelphia. That's in the majority of urban schools with predominantly unfortunately, right? And so that's no strike at Philly. We got to do better for our Black kids, and it starts with us getting them teachers that want to be there, teachers that want to be in the city. Like if you I feel like it should be an honor it should be a badge of honor to teach our kids, right? And until everybody else feels that way, we're going to continue to have these deficits in education, right?
Amen.
But man, we're getting to our closing, and I feel like we're watching Auntie Elaine the Explorer. Where is Boots? And where?
I'm gonna fight you, Ray.
Man, I'm waiting for somebody to come in the background and say, "Come on, stop." All right. Enough of that. So, closing thoughts on Parent Toolkit, the importance of parent engagement, and how we could get our parents more involved in the educational lives of their kids. Auntie Renee, we'll start with you.
I want to say, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't know it, there's no dumb question. The answer you're going to get, if you feel like you're not getting the justice you deserve, please look us up, the 3 Woke Aunties. Please look up the 8 Black Hands. Please look up a lot of people, because we will be more than happy to help you, more than happy to advocate for you. Right here. Your help is here. Come get it.
That's what's up. Auntie Toya, with all that fancy artwork in the background.
Okay, so I would say, first of all, build a relationship with your school, building relationships with the parents in the school, building relationships with the children in the school. The second thing is listen to your child. Listening to your child allows your child to allows you to know, take the temperature of what's going on in the school. And the third thing was know your numbers, know your school's numbers, know your child's numbers. And like Auntie Renee said, question everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, so part of this movement, right? I'm arming parents, and those numbers that you're talking about are absolutely imperative to know, right? But not only for the parent, but also for the child.
Right.
You should be able to go up to any child, grades K to 8, and say, "What's your reading level?" Right? And that child should be able to have a conversation with you about what their reading level is. Even though, some people are proving it to be junk science, we do know that if a kid is reading on a level Z, they can read. So whatever junk science people attribute it to, whatever, if people that are not are trying to disassociate themselves with reading levels or whatever, if my kid is on a level Z, then I at least know that in 12th grade, when they graduate, they can fill out a job application without difficulties, right? I know that. I know that they can at least put together a resume to get them a civil service job or take a civil service test in order to be set for the rest of their life. Because I know if I had to do it all over again, I would not have gone to college. I would have took my butt to the post office. And yeah, that's what I would have done. So yeah, no, you're right. Everybody does not do F&P, but at the end of the day, I still should be whatever reading program that you're doing. I should know that there's a level that exists with that programming. And if you're not doing a reading program, you trash if your kids can't read. Anyway, Auntie Elaine.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't hear the Central City traffic.
We're I'm sorry, and I'm right by the highway. So we have a lot of useful tools for parents. But we have to remember that there are parents out there who still feel a little intimidated in getting started. So what I want to say is start small but build quickly, right? Start with the little things. Just reach out to a teacher or two, make a connection with one or two parents, take your child with you to back to school night and let them ask some questions. Like encourage them to ask questions about things that they want to know about going on in the classrooms. That is the beginning of advocacy. That's how you start it. And once you do it, trust me, that feeling of accomplishment from maybe connecting with a teacher that may have been giving your child a hard way to go and straightening that issue out. So now your child is being successful in that classroom. The more you do, the more comfortable you become and the more supportive you can be, not just for your child, but for other people's children as well.
Yeah, but you know how we can cut through the butter with all this? If we get more black and brown teachers in school, right?
Yes.
Because you get black and brown
teachers,
having the ability to build those relationships with folks that look like us, folks that are familiar with our struggles, it just makes it that much easier as opposed to having folks that are looking down their noses in terms of where we are and not meeting us where we need to be met. So you guys have been listening to another episode of the Unpublic Podcast. Sorry about my audio. The aunties held us down though. And thanks again to Citizen Stewart for giving me the keys to the Corvette. I did not crash it. I did not say anything unethical. I didn't say anything that could get us canceled. But we out. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Peace.